And a lot of organizations that we've seen really use external quality-based control systems. And because of that lack of integration, there's really there can be a lot of problems that are basically introduced with that. Examples of that, just to kind of go from experience with this. So one would be you have a product that's used, for example, in a different finished product, so a sub-assembly of a finished good. And when you went through that test in your external quality system, you basically found that it failed because of some type of tolerance event that occurred with it. Well, the end user would have to manually go into the ERP system to go through and then change the status or move that inventory to a non-inventory location to be able to reflect that that quantity is not available. And then secondarily, you have to replenish or actually go through the replanning engine then to be able to then have the production system catch up and say, okay, I need to recreate this. Well, if you have it integrated as part of that process, all of those events can actually occur automatically inside of the system, so that when a quality order fails, the product quantity is put into a hold status, a quarantine status, and from there, you can determine then the acceptable action that's related to it, instead of actually having the MRP system regenerate, for example, a brand new production order to go through that production process. Instead, you could inform the end user to do some type of rework operation for that particular product, so that way it never leaves that particular work cell, and that product can move on then to the next process after going through that rework life cycle. So let's take a look really quickly here at the quality capabilities that we have. So I'm going to go to what we call our quality associations inside of Dynamics 365. And when I click on this area, there's a bunch of setups that drive then when we should actually go through and do, for example, some type of quality check. Now, in this example, what we're really saying is that when I have some type of production, meaning the output of an item that I'm producing for this specific item number, which is our mid-range speaker, for a specific warehouse, when I actually finish the production order, what I'd like to have is I'd like to have a test of the impedance value of that. One piece of whatever I produce would be tested, and I need to have an acceptable quality level of 100% in order for that part to not be quarantined as part of that process. And you can see in here, this one, for example, doesn't automatically quarantine upon validation failure, but you could set this up then to automatically then quarantine that particular product as part of that process. Now, the item sampling is nice because you can actually go through and then define, for example, in your process, whether or not it's a percentage of the quantity. So I've got fixed quantity that's set up in this particular example, whether or not it's going to block the entire lot, for example, the full blocking of what was produced, even though you're only testing one of them. And then lastly, what you're tracking in terms of the batch number or serial number if you actually have these set up as serialized or batch-based items. You can also maintain it inside of Dynamics 365 so that there's actually a destructive type of test that could be done as well throughout that process. So that is absolutely something that's supported then inside of those particular quality operations within Dynamics 365. The other aspect here, we'll go to our quality order. And quality orders are actually generated as part of the process. So as the production is outputted, a quality order would be generated. And these quality orders are what end users can interact with to be able to go through and then specify those values for that production process. So in this example, I have a quality order 0001 that was generated. That's a concentration test that's occurring. And you can see that results have been entered inside of here. We are expecting a value of 27% for the concentration. And if I click on my results for this particular quality order, you can see my result value was entered, and this test is actually acceptable or within that tolerance. So if you want to set up min-max tolerances, if you want to set up just pass-fail tolerances. You can define those types of options within those quality associations that we are looking at to drive then automated quality, and then from there as well, automatically quarantine or even generate then rework that you may need then to tackle any of those types of quality issues that you may encounter as part of your production process. So quality management, having it integrated, I couldn't imagine nowadays that I have this feature of not having that natively integrated inside of the business system.